Hey everyone, the Flying Lucha here, and welcome to a video that I have hinted many times on this channel, and one I've really wanted to make. This is my top 5 anime of all time. Now, people have asked me on many occasions, oh, what's your favourite anime, or what anime do you recommend, or have you got a top 5? Then this is the video for you. This is a top 5 anime that I think people will enjoy, that really revolutionized the way we look at anime, ones that everyone will know. You know, it's not like the strange anime that no one's heard of, or a gory anime that people try and, stay away from. These are anime that are popular, that really, really pique my interest. An anime that I hope you will give a go as well. Some of them are long, some of them are short, and some of them made their place in anime history. So I really, really hope you enjoyed this video. I put a lot of time into this video. Without any further ado, let's get on to the number 5 spot. In the number 5 spot is... So in the number 5 spot, we have Sword Art Online. Now, a lot of people do not like this anime. They don't like the writing. They don't like anything to do with it. They think it's overhyped. They think the main character is just overpowered. To me personally, I love it. I have all the light novels, well, of the main storyline anyway. There's a lot of them. There's over 25 of them. I've got all the progressive light novels. I've only read like maybe the first chapter of Clannad, because I watch a lot of anime and I read a lot more manga. But it's ever since that first episode of Sword Art Online is what really captured my interest for this anime. It was when he looks up and he goes, "Hi Sword Art," and "Hi Sword Art." He more says, "I'm back." You know, he looks up and he goes, I can't remember. It's something like, "Hi Sword Art Online, I'm back," and then the episode starts, and it's just the hype I had for that. And then he has to go on his own journey after saying goodbye to Klein. It was, yeah, I can't remember how old I was. I must have been maybe 19, 20 when I first saw this anime. Back in the days I used to play Pokemon X and Y. There was a guy on Game Chat, I think his name was Ronald. Never spoke to him since 2016. Never even knew the guy, but he always recommended me anime. Like Neon Genesis, Death Note, Code Geass, Sword Art, and all of them are some of my favourite anime. I love Sword Art. You know, it's one of my guilty pleasures. People hate on it, but that's just, it's the way it is, really. There's five seasons. There's the first season, which, if I'm not mistaken, there's 25 episodes. Around the first 13 episodes is practically Sword Art as we know it. It is the Aincrad arc, and then it kind of drops off a bit. From 13 to 25 is when they delve into the world of Alfheim Online, which, yeah, not my favourite arc of the franchise, to be honest. It kind of let it down for me. Yeah, it's definitely my least favourite arc. And then there's the second season, which is probably my favourite, if not my favourite season of Sword Art Online. GGO is my favourite of all of them. They even made a spin-off series of GGO called Alternative Gun Gale Online, which is actually getting a season 2. I don't know when, but it's in the making. But I love it. I love it a lot. Season 2, 24 episodes, if I'm not mistaken. Can't remember how many episodes of Gun Gale Online there are. I think it's more half and half, really. And then the second part of Season 2 is Mother's Rosario, which people say is the best out of all of Sword Art Online. Well-written arc. It is very sad. I don't want to spoil too much, but it has the most overpowered character in Sword Art Online, full stop. Yeah, she's practically a part of the software, you could say. She's the game itself, no one has played more than she has. It is her life. But yeah, season 2 is my favourite. And then we have War of Underworld, which is split into two parts, into two seasons, where you have Alicization, which I think it's 24 episodes, and then Alicization War of Underworld, which is the follow-on War of Underworld chapter of that particular arc, which has 23 episodes, which strange why they couldn't make it 24, 25. It's the shortest season, but it's basically season 3. People call it season 4. It's season 3. Alicization and War of Underworld are basically the same thing. They're built in the same, existing arc. So yeah. And then that's it for the seasons. And then if you want to watch in chronological, you have films as well, which extra edition, the only Blu-ray of the Sword Art Online series that I could never get my hands on because it never released in the UK. I wanted to get the Australian release. Unfortunately, I couldn't because it sold out. And America, forget about that. The price is just disgusting. The next movie was Sword Art Online Ordinal Scale. And then another 2 movies which are part of the progressive light novels, which are basically a retelling of the Ironclad arc. So the first 12, 13 episodes of the first season of Sword Art Online, Reki Karahara got so much hate that he decided, yeah, let me just retell this. And I haven't really heard much complaints from anyone about progressive. The first film adapts the parts of the first novel or the first arc of progressive, Aria of a Starless Night, which is what it was titled. And then they skipped a bunch of chapters, I think to like volume 3 or something, and then they got Shrezno, something Shrezno it was called. But yeah, I hate the fact they just skipped arcs and then they just went on to like volume 3 or something. Why they couldn't just continue, I don't know. Maybe they just didn't want to adapt to everything, but that's Sword Art in the nutshell. They didn't adapt everything, so without reading all of the light novels, I won't know the ins and outs of the differences between the anime and the light novels. There are manga adaptations and other spin-offs, but I just recommend watching more, reading the original light novels and then reading progressive like straight after that, or just finish the Ironclad arc of Sword Art Online and then watch progressive, read progressive, and then go on to the Alfheim arc, which is the one straight after the Ironclad arc. But yeah, in chronological order it goes season 1, extra edition, then season 2, and then after season 2, straight after watching like the first part, aka the GGO arc, then watch Alternative Gungan Line, and then go back to season 2, and then watch the rest of like the Alfheim Mother's Rosario arc. Then after that, Ordinal Scale, and then after that go into War, Alicization, then War of Underworld, and then start watching the progressive films as they come straight afterwards. They don't really fit too much into the actual timeline. It's just more before the series, you could say. So you could probably watch the progressive films before watching everything else. So, do with it what you wish. But that's just the way I would watch it anyway. But, yeah, I love Sword Art. I do. I've done light novel videos. I've done anime unboxing videos. I've done all sorts of different things revolving around Sword Art. So I recommend it. It is when people talk about isekai, they talk about Sword Art Online. Love it or hate it, people will always remember it. It is a very, very popular anime. It's in like the top 10 most popular anime on my anime list. Sword Art Online was the first anime that actually got me into anime. It wasn't the first anime I ever watched. That was Pokemon. I think that specific episode was it was an episode where Ash takes on Max's father and beats him in a gym battle. That was the first ever anime/episode I ever watched, but it never actually got me into anime. Sword Art Online was what got me into anime. I love Sword Art. It's got me through some tough times. Whenever I feel depressed, I'd always go watch some anime, and this was an anime that was there for me when I needed it, and it's meant a lot to me. It's definitely meant a lot, and I hope it means a lot to you too when you decide to watch this, or if you ever decide to watch this. But there are certain aspects of Sword Art that, even not just the writing, but some scenes in particular that may put people off. This scene right here, the R scene, where unfortunately there are a lot of them in this anime, and people may be disgusted by it, and I don't blame you. It is quite hard to watch. Here's a short little message that someone on Reddit actually said about the R scenes in Sword Art. They have noticed, just like myself, that in season 1, 2, and 3, there are these R scenes that just come out of nowhere, that are just really uncomfortable. And yeah, if you want to see that yourself, I'll leave a link in the description. But they really throw a curveball at you. They come out of nowhere. But I thought I would just mention it to you guys. You know, it's worth mentioning, because you need to know what you're getting into. You know, to be able to put season 3 as an 18 rated, the first ever Sword Art Online season to get an 18 rated because of these scenes, you know, it does impact it. But I hope that doesn't stop you from wanting to watch this anime. Very much like Mushoku Tensei. You know, that anime, I enjoyed the whole premise of it, the story of it, everything about it was really enjoyable. But it's just the character himself. The whole plot was, he was 30-year-old virgin or something, got hit by a car or van, and then he's now in another world, reincarnated as well, not reincarnated, he's just born again in like another world, and then he immediately wants to have it off with all these kids. And it's like, bro, you're still 30, or you still got the mind of an adult, you know, and you want to sleep around with all these kids. And it's like, why? Who wrote this, man? And it's, yeah, the character can be really, really off-putting in Mushoku Tensei. You know, at times, I was finding it hard just to carry on, because this guy's pervertedness was just over the top. But I'm comparing the R scenes to Sword Art, just the overall pervertedness of Mushoku Tensei, and the fact that these are like children in Mushoku Tensei, you know. So it's like, why they even thought it was necessary to do these things, I don't know. But I hope that doesn't stop you from wanting to watch Sword Art as a whole. Sword Art is a great experience. It's a really fun ride. It's not the best writing. I mean, in the light novels, I haven't read all of it, so I can't compare the two. But I know I got a lot of enjoyment out of it anyway. Something I should have explained more in the beginning of the video is the plot of the anime. Pretty much, a guy called Kirito plays the game before everyone else. He plays the demo of it, and people find out later, well, more towards the beginning and then later of the series, that he was a beta tester, meaning someone that had played it before everyone else, so they think he knows a lot more about the game. He explains that even the pros, the people that were really good at the demo, even they struggled to even get past the first floor. And that being a beta tester has nothing to do with it, really. And the beta testers were the people even handing out the manuals, like how to actually play the game at the release and in the game. So they weren't actually trying to keep it from the players, they were trying to help them. But yeah, it's the fact that someone is trapped in the game. If you die in the game, you die in real life. It doesn't give a crap who you are. You could be a child, you could be an old person, you could be a middle-aged person, any race, any skin colour, no matter what, you will die in this game if you were killed by a monster or even your own teammate, which is called a PKer. And that's what really makes this show interesting for me, the whole fact that in the real world, their bodies are being, well, they're being monitored by their families. And if you die in the game, then the actual VR headset, which really brought life to the VR as a whole, people always think of Sword Art when they think of VR headsets. PlayStation has them as well. A lot of other game consoles have them. But when you think of VR, you always think of Sword Art Online. If a death game, being trapped in a game, a whole isekai aspect of it, the adventure aspect of it is what you're looking for, then Sword Art Online is definitely for you. And that's why it makes the number 5 spot.
In the number 4 spot,
Neon Genesis Evangelion. Now, this was a tough one because I was going to pick this one over the third place, but then I thought the third place, that hit me hard, that had some emotional impact to me, so I had to put this as number 4. But Neon Genesis Evangelion, wow, what a revolutionary anime. This anime, to me, is mecha at its finest. This is the definition of mecha to me. It is just unbelievable. The budget they had for this show, the way it fell apart towards the end, but then the amount of hate that Hideaki Anno got, and he created the end of Evangelion just to say to the audience, well, guess what? I'm gonna give you an ending, and you're gonna have to love this. You're not gonna have to love it, but you're gonna have to stick with it because this is what you're getting. And it really, really surprised me how he went about it and how big this anime became, the merchandise behind it, how much the merchandise nowadays will cost you. I've got a hoodie of it, I've got a t-shirt of it, I've got the platinum edition, I've got the slim version, I've got the box set of it, I've got all the films, everything I've got. It's just fantastic. I love this show so much. On Blu-ray it's just beautiful. On DVD it's very grainy, so I would just recommend getting the Blu-ray. If you love the original dub like me, you have to get the collector's edition because they up the price of it. But yeah, wow, this show was amazing. It has first season, which came out in 1995, and then episode 25 and 26 were just weird. I can't explain it. They weren't even anything to do with the anime. They were just still shots. They were sketches of the show. They lost the budget. And then the last 10 minutes of episode 26 was just weird new animation that just went in its own direction, and it was just so strange. I can't explain it. It was so... Oh, God. And then, of course, the show ends in episode 24. That's practically the ending. Episode 24. And then the end of Evangelion, well, soon after the series ended, Death and Rebirth came out, where Death was a recap of the series, well, as much as they could recap. And then Rebirth was 20 odd minutes of the beginning of the end of Evangelion. So it's okay, I'm going into this film knowing 20 minutes of what I've already seen. So what's going on here? But I don't know why they did it that way, but they did. And yeah, it was, God, really weird. Episode 25, aka the end of Evangelion, starts straight from episode 24. You could skip Death and Rebirth entirely, except a bit in the middle. There's a scene in the middle with a piano scene. That's the only thing they introduced that is new material, but really don't need to see. And then that was it. You can just skip the Death and Rebirth altogether because you really won't be missing much out. But yeah, series 1 to 24, then the film, and that's it. That's the definitive way of watching Neon Genesis Evangelion. But then they said, right, we've got so much fans. This anime is infamous. Let's go and rebuild it. So they made the rebuild films, 1.11, 2.22, 3.33, and then decades later, they brought out 3.1 plus 1.0 because Shin Godzilla film had actually delayed the making of the Neon Genesis film. But yeah, the first one was just a recap of the series, but it was still beautiful to see it in HD. It was just I wasn't one of the original people that watched Neon Genesis all the way back in the 90s. I wasn't even born when the first episode aired. I mean, even the manga came out before the anime, but the anime was supposed to come out before the manga. There was animation delays or some shit. But the anime just, yeah, the manga's adapted from the anime. Even though the creator himself says no, it's his own story, but a majority of the manga is adapted from the anime. And then the anime finished, and then the manga overtook the anime and just started going in its own direction at one point. But it still had the same concept and still followed mainly plots from the anime. But the anime is the way to go. But Hideki Anno practically invented it. He created Neon Genesis. But yeah, the rebuilds, the first one was good, because HD, what else can you ask for? But then the second one was brilliant, absolutely fantastic. The introduction of the new character, I think her name was Mai, the one with the glasses. But I think she, like, all the children, like all the pilots, they well, she was a lot older than they were, but then she didn't age due to the impact. I can't remember what impact. There's so many impacts in this film, but yeah, due to the impact, her body didn't really age. As you see in like 3.0, they don't age because they're like in stasis or some shit. But it's been a while since I've seen it. But the show was great. The films were really good as well. 3.0 really, to me, wasn't that good. And then 3.0 plus 1.0 was very confusing, like the end of Evangelion was. It was very confusing, but I loved it. I'd say just narrowly the fourth and finale film beat the second one for me, but the second one was still amazing. I love it, and it's quite a graphic anime, like what you're looking at right now. Mentioning the rebuild films, here's some scenes from the rebuild films. As you can see, they're a lot more HD than the series were, as they were in 4:3 ratio. And it's still funny how people buy the DVDs and Blu-rays and still can't understand why the series isn't in full screen, unfortunately, and it would never will be. But Akira tried messing about with it at one point. I think the VHS actually cut bits of the actual film out because they tried to fit it in 4:3. I don't know. But yeah, Neon Genesis is a ride. It is a ride. It's about, getting over your emotions, meeting people, actually getting out in the world. There is a lot of depression in this anime. Shinji wants to be noticed by his father, but at the same time hates him for what he's done. The loss of his mother really, really fucks Shinji up. And the old meme of getting the Shinji robot. Getting the robot Shinji, he's terrified throughout the entire show because he's just having these traumatic images of this show as a whole was just so graphic, man. It's just, I don't know how Shinji does it, but people hate him. If you're in his situation, what would you do? The kid goes through some shit, man. The fact that his father just asked him, come on, get in the robot now, and he's like, you brought me all this way, just me to pilot this giant-ass monster thing. And that's all you want from me after all these years of not seeing each other? You feel for the character, Even with the hardships, at times you get really frustrated. Like, Asuka's going through a lot. A man's just being a coward and he's just sitting in the corner. Then he realises what he's done and he tries to fight, but it's too late. And it's just, yeah, it's just really crazy. This anime is just, it's a riot. It is, there's nothing like it. There really is nothing like this show. It is a mindfuck of an anime. And still people, after watching the end of Evangelion, cannot comprehend what they saw. When I finished the end of Evangelion, I must have sat in my room for a good minute just staring at the screen like, what on earth have I just watched? This show is just mind-blowingly good, but bad, but insane, but great storytelling. Neon Genesis Evangelion, you all have to watch this show. You can't say you've watched anime without watching Neon Genesis Evangelion. It shows mental. I watched the final film, the rebuild film, in the cinema in BFI IMAX London, massive screen. It didn't fit the whole screen because the film wasn't made for massive, you know, big massive screen like BFI has. It's the biggest in the UK, but the sound was amazing. It was packed. You know, it was a great experience. First time I've ever been to BFI IMAX, and I would never forget it. And what better way to watch your first film at BFI than the end of Evangelion? Well, the end of Evangelion? No, the rebuild. 3.1 plus 1.0 Thrice Upon a Time. This show is definitely a watch. This is a gem. This is a masterpiece, in my opinion. It is. Wow. Trying to explain Neon Genesis, the plot wise, I'll try my best. It is a boy, like I mentioned a little while ago, a boy is summoned by his father to fight these angels, they call them, that come down from God knows where. They never tell you where they come from, they just appear. And only children can pilot them. Why? Who knows? Maybe because adults can't fit in the cockpit, I don't know. But it's just funny, so much is unexplained, but so much is, it's there, but you need to rewatch it. I need to watch this show like 3 or 4 times to actually understand what's going on. I watched it in the original English twice. I watched it in Japanese. Then I watched the Netflix version, which I will never watch again. Not all the actors are bad for Netflix. Just a majority of the cast are. I like Misato's voice actor. She was good. But yeah, he's summoned. He's in the robot because, well, he sees Ray in a right state, and he's like, "Bro, I need to save this girl." He gets in the robot. He fights this freaking monstrous angel thing, and of course, he doesn't go well. Man has to be flipping ejected and sent straight to the hospital, where he stares at the ceiling for like freaking 10 seconds. But talking about staring at the ceiling, there's lots of scenes where 30 seconds of footage where it's just frozen and nothing happens. Yeah, there's a lot of that just to save budget, but that's it really. The plot of Neon Genesis, he fights angels, and then there's a third impact, and then he meets friends. They all go through some shit. They all have their problems. Every character has their problems, you know. They all go through some hardships. They all go through the pain and suffering, and then there's fun times, and then there's not so fun times. But it's a ride. Neon Genesis is a ride, and it's great fun. If you don't like gory anime or really graphic anime or scary anime, don't watch this because it will probably scare the shit out of you. But if you're in for a great time and you want to watch a classic anime and you want to get into anime, this is the anime for you, ladies and gentlemen. Neon Genesis Evangelion is a master of its craft. I've done loads of unboxings. I think Neon Genesis on my channel is the most unboxed anime on my channel. I've unboxed it more than any other anime. I've got like the original volumes of Neon Genesis by ADV. Got the slim platinum chipboard, big box platinum, the complete. Tried to get the steelbook, but maybe in the future. I've got all the rebuild films. I've got the ultimate edition. Very expensive set. Hoodies, t-shirts, a lot. But I've even got the whole manga, which I really need to get round to watching. The one with Rei Ayanami, the 3-in-1 edition of the thing, was so hard to get hold of, but it came back in print, I think, because there was a lot more stock of them after years. So, yeah, I need to read the manga when I'm done watching a crap ton of other anime. I got a lot of anime I'm watching. I'm watching way too much anime. But, yeah, Neon Genesis, ladies and gentlemen, please watch this show. As weird and wacky as this show is, I beg you watch it. I beg you watch it. It's not as emotional as the next anime on this list, but wow, does it leave a lasting impression. This anime is one for all. And one for all, did I say that? For me it is, For the whole world, probably not. But wow, Neon Genesis Evangelion, the soundtrack, some of them sound like James Bond films. The intro is probably, if not one of the top five most, memorable intros of all time. This show is just, yeah, I've praised it enough. Watch this show, ladies and gentlemen. Watch this show. Neon Genesis Evangelion takes the number 4 spot.
In the number 3 spot,
Clannad. Or shall I say Clannad After Story, as that is the more superior way of watching Clannad. Clannad was an anime adapted from a visual novel by Studio Key, which are also well known for Canon, or Kanon, I don't know, Air, and I think they worked on Angel Beats, but Angel Beats was animated by PA Works, whilst the others were all animated by Kyoto Animation, one of my favourite animation studios. Clannad is a pretty old anime, but it's such a special anime. Clannad After Story is in the top 20 on my anime list. This anime brings me to tears every time I watch it. No matter how many times, I love it to bits. It is, I don't know, it's the most special anime I've ever watched. It is definitely my number 1 saddest anime of all time. It's up there with I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. It's up there with Josie, the Tiger and the Fish, I think that's called. And Grave of the Fireflies. I never thought I'd cry more from that film, but Clannad After Story really changed my mind. And that ending turns you for a loop. I mean, I still can't explain what happened in the ending. Half the people can't. But, yeah. 2 seasons. I think there's like 2 OVAs, which are just, it's like a retelling of what would it be like if Tomoya was dating the other girls instead. But yeah, the first season dragged. It was really hard to get through, but you need to watch the first season and able to watch After Story, aka the second season. I mean, the first season was just casual Japanese school life. They meet each other, they play games, they want to have a school club, which they're like rejects. No one wants to join their school club. You got the annoying character with the blonde hair. Can't remember his name. He can get really angry at times. His emotion can change entirely. But wow, man. This anime was just beautiful. The first season, like I said, drags. It really does drag. But then, at the very end of the episode of the first season, we know what we're getting ourselves into. Season 2 comes along, pulls at your heartstrings. Some people hate Clannad. I hate you if you hate Clannad. Clannad is just beautiful, man. I keep saying Clannad. I mean to say Clannad After Story because it is just amazing. People forget about Clannad, but they will always praise Clannad After Story. If you don't have a heart, if your heart is made of glass, you will never appreciate this anime. This anime is just golden to me. It comes third just due to the fact that the other 2 anime just had me engaged from start to finish. This anime fell short because of the first season for me. But they also had a movie as well. And the movie was animated by Toei. They also animated like Kanon and Air. Kanon and Air movies. Yeah, I never even knew that before that. Kanon, the rejected Kanon, the really, really bad animated Kanon, was animated by Toei and then animated again by Kyoto Animation. They even made Air, the movie Air, I'm going by, which I've never seen because I hated the series so much. The series was animated by Kyoto, but Air, of course, animated the film. And even Clannad had its own movie, which I watched, and I thought the animation was quite beautiful, considering it's Toei. You usually rush their animation because they're on a tight schedule. But, yeah, I mean, the series of Kanon Air Clannad all by Kyoto. That's the way of watching it. Forget about the movies, because the movies are practically just really boring and shit that you've already seen. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend them. Just watch the series, but don't watch Air. Watch Canon, because that's funny. And Clannad also has its funny moments as well. Kanon and Air, I don't know why I keep talking about them. I just talk more about Clannad. But yeah, Clannad, it has some really, really funny moments, like Nagisa Furukawa. Her parents are always somewhat fighting, but only like childish fighting, really. Like, the father is hilarious. The mother is cute and really funny. You could just tell she's the mother of Nagisa. They're so much alike. But, and without spoiling too much, maybe the images on the screen have, but you need to watch the anime. It is Kyoto animation at its finest, man. It's in the top 3 Kyoto anime works, you know, with Violet Evergarden and I was gonna say a few others. They have more like I can't even remember the genre. What Kyoto Animation do? Like lolly characters, you could say, or chibi characters, or you could say, like flipping K-On! And I haven't seen K-On! Yet. I've got the Blu-ray of it. Or what's that one they had, like a series and a movie, Love Story or something. I don't know about that one. Yeah, I can't remember the name of that one. But there's like a movie and a series thing as well. But yeah, I don't know. I really cannot describe how much Kyoto Animation means to me. It's the studio as a whole was just amazing. They animated the second and the third season of Full Metal Panic, whereas the first was animated by Gonzo and the last one was animated by can't even remember the last one. It's not a studio that many people really talk about, to be honest with you. But yeah, if you don't cry at least once at this anime, then you don't have a heart. Because this anime is just special. It's a lot of romance in it, a lot of comedy in it, a bit of sports in it every now and then. Just overall family film. There are some real hardships with Tomoya. I mean, he goes through so much shit, man. He goes through so much shit. But plot wise, I don't really know what the plot is of Clannad. It's basically high school, and then he meets a girl called Nagisa who's very ill, who gets very ill, and she finds it hard to go to school. She's pulled back a year because of her health. Believe it or not, she's younger than he is. But yeah, everyone loves her. You know, no one hates her. She's that, you know, little spark that keeps them all together. They all have their different stories, like one girl and her parents. I'm not gonna go too much into spoilers, but I once went into a CX shop at one point, and the lady was there, looked at the DVD. It was like the Manga Entertainment, and it had season 1 and season 2. And she went, "Oh, Clannad, I remember that girl with the teddy bear. Here's like a little hint of why it's so sad. It's the one with the purple hair, but she has like a teddy bear." And she says, "Oh, I remember the scene with the parents and the teddy bear. It's so sad." And the fact this character is so quiet, so shy, doesn't speak throughout the whole series. And then they give her a teddy bear and she breaks down. Oh, I was so close to tearing up. Because I didn't know much about his character. It didn't make me cry, but I felt them coming. But yeah, it's a very special moment. It was every character you feel for, even the guy with the blonde hair, you know, even he had his moments. You know, the girl who was always beating the shit out of him with the silver hair. I can't remember the names. Even she had an emotional side too. Maybe there's Key and Keone. I think they're the two ones. The one who's the boisterous attitude. I think she also voices Rhea Scrimry from High School DxD. That's right, same one that voices, I think, Keone. I don't know. Also, one thing that's annoying is there's like 3 characters. I think her name's Ichinose. That's purple hair, and then I think Ki and Keone, like the twin sisters, but were they twin sisters? I don't think so. But they all have purple hair, and half the time they're on screen, you're like, is that Ki? Is that Kyon? Is that Ishinose? I can't fucking tell. Because it's so annoying when you're trying to tell them apart and you just cannot. It's just the designs of these characters are really frustrating at times, and they can really put you off. But, the whole season 1 was a real drag. You know, there were some stand-up moments, maybe the concert, the school play or something they put on was kind of sad, and the fact the father ran out and shouted to her across, stage, I thought it was really touching. But I don't want to go in too much because I'll just get into spoilers, and there's so many spoilers in this show, but I love this anime. It is just beautiful. Clannad after, from beginning to end. Just seeing this man's, as an adult, and we have sex and sex makes babies. Do you remember that bit? that was hilarious. The Dungo song. The intro is just kind of, you appreciate it more after you've watched the show. But the Dungo song, Dai Kazaku, I love that song. I played that every single time. I listened to it every single time. But Tomoya, man, as he gets, and that's a picture of him as an adult. As he gets an adult, it just falls apart, man. It's so sad, but it's great at the same time, It's if I go into spoilers, I'm not going to. At the end, is it really a spoiler? Because some reason they try and explain it to you. It's like, I can't spoil it even if I wanted to, because I can't understand what the hell happened. It's so strange. But I could make this just a video about me, like an entire video about Clannad if I wanted to, but we'd be here all day. It'd be nearly a half an hour video, so I can leave it here with Clannad, aka Clannad After Story. And that's why Clannad makes the number 3 spot.
In the number 2 spot.
If you guys and girls did not see this coming, then you definitely have not been watching my YouTube channel. Code Geass, or Code Geass, or whatever you want to call it, just made me love anime even more than I already did. It basically finalized for me that anime is just a supreme way of watching animation, full stop. I love Code Geass. I have all the Blu-rays of it. Well, apart from those little spin-off things like Narnia and Wonderland or crap, but I don't think they're ever released on Blu-ray. But recently, Crunchyroll released some sort of like cash grab little release, which looked like a jewelry box, and it opened up and it had like a chessboard and something. It was like nearly $500 or something. I can't remember. It was the same discs from the Funimation release, so yeah, they basically robbed you blind, but you couldn't even buy that in the UK if you wanted to. You'd have to get it from America, which even then you can't import it because they just won't allow it. But Code Geass, the first season, imagine watching it all the way back. I think back in 2007 or something, but I could be wrong. But imagine watching the first season, getting to that last episode and being like, just speechless, and you're like, hold on, this cannot be how it ends. This cannot be how it ends, and it does. And then I think like 2 years later, like 2009 or something, you get into like the first episode and it's just, hold on, what's going on here? And then the end of the first episode of season 2 or R2 is like, okay, we back, boys, and it's like, let's start it again. Let's make history here. And wow, did this anime do it? It was hard not to put this as number 1, but my number one will always be my number one, and I think anything will ever top that. But Code Geass, man, if I just went on and on about this anime this video would be about an hour long, but I'm gonna try and shorten it as much as I possibly can. That's gonna be hard. Code Geass is about a young man. There he is, Lelouch v Britannia, who I think he's somewhat, abandoned by his father, the great ruler, Charles Lee Britannia, I think his name is, who's just a really nasty bloke. Where Lelouch's mother, I think, was killed. Without spoilers, this is the beginning of it. I'm not going to tell you the rest of it, because that will definitely get into spoilers about his mother. But, and then, yeah, Lelouch is just sort of just sidelined, really. Lelouch is really, really annoyed with his father about the death of his mother. And it's been a while since I watched it. But I think his father sort of just banishes him. And then the first you see of Lelouch, he's at the school. I can't remember the name of the school. Like I said, I watched this anime a long, long time ago. But he lives at the school along with his friends and his sister, who's blind, called Nunnally, who loves him to bits. And then one day I think he's in like a casino, gambling with he's just showing him up, really. He's like a chess pro. And he goes into the casino, he beats them at chess. I think they get pissed off or something. And then he leaves the casino and he gets into some sort of an altercation with the Japanese. Well, no, not Japanese, the 11s. That's right, because it's the Britannians and the Japanese. But the Japanese, no, not the 11. Wait, hold on. The Britannians, that's it. He gets in an altercation with the Britannians. The Japanese, the name's been stripped, so they're just been known as 11s now. So the 11s instead of the Japanese, which they don't like that. They want to be known as the Japanese. But they have that stripped from them. And so Lelouch, who is Britannian born, fights for the 11s. Because he feels that's the right thing to do, and also hatred towards his father. So what Lelouch does is he comes across a strange green-haired girl who, by far, is probably my favourite waifu in anime history. Goes by C2, compared to 02, I think, in Darling in the Franxx, or Franxx, which is also an anime original, just like Code Geass. Code Geass got a manga adaptation, which I don't really give a shit about. But, yeah, the anime. And, yeah, and then she gives him a power. Within, instantly, he knows how to use his power. It's the power to control people. You can tell them to kill themselves, tell them to do all sorts of things. It's just amazing. It's just, oh wow. There wasn't one episode in this anime that made me bored. From beginning to end, I was gripped. There's very, very rarely an anime will make me just continuously want to press play over and over and over and over again. Next episode, next episode, next episode. Gantz had that feeling on me, until the last 4 or so filler episodes, but it was over and over and over again, just, continuous, yes, let's go, just all out action. I was gripped from start to finish. Absolutely, the words can't describe how much I love this show. If the watch order of this is season 1, season 2, and that's practically it. That's the only way of watching this show. But then they have other stuff like rebuilds. No, not rebuilds. They're just compilation films. So you got Initiation, which is just a recap of the first part of the first season, and then Transgression, which is the only one you should probably watch because it recaps the second half of the first season, and then shows you a bit after the second part of the season of so after the first season. So as soon as the first season ends with that cliffhanger, transgression in the middle basically shows you exactly what happened after that scene, and season 2 sort of just skips over it really, which is really annoying. But yeah, transgression has a little bit of extra animation which just shows you what happened, and I was so happy they added it in. And then glorification, which is tries to recap the entire second season but fails. It's basically just entire recap, but yeah, not enough. And then apparently you're supposed to watch those three, and then you watch Resurrection, which it's not a bad film. It didn't need to be made, you know. They without getting into major spoilers, they sort of just wanted to bring the character back, and people were like, no. Season 2 had a amazing ending, probably my favourite anime ending of all time, even beating the ending of the first anime on this list. The ending was just creme de la creme, mate. It was wow. Wow is what I can describe it. That ending was pieced together perfectly. It nearly had me in tears. The music, da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na-na. So that little music out there, but I had to download that song. It's called Continued Story. But wow, when that music kicked in and the echoing and the oh wow, was that good, man? Was that good? Just brilliant for beginning to end. I loved it so much. But yeah, back onto the plot. Lelouch disguised himself as Zero, which you see right here, and only he and C2, who gives him the power, knows who he is. And then it just gets better and better from there. It's a cat and mouse game between Lelouch and the whole Britannian army. It's not like you're up against one enemy, aka Charles v. Britannia. He just stays sidelined. You never see his father. Hardly at all throughout the anime. He's just always hidden from the limelight. So yeah, it doesn't really feel like a back and forth between him and his father. He just allows his sons and daughters to do it for him. There's Euphemia. Then there's another daughter who's older than her. And then there's 2 older brothers as well. The younger brother of the 2, apart from Lelouch, there's 2 other younger brothers. You see the older one like towards the very end. I can't remember the names. It's really hard remembering Japanese names. But he's the current ruler, I think. And I may be mistaken. It's been a while since I've seen it. But he's like the first person that Lelouch has to face. And yeah, this is over pretty quickly. He's not really a nice guy. He acts nice for the public, but behind closed doors, he's not really that nice. There's also these like elites that are head of the Britannian army. I can't remember them either. Suzaku Kurugi is part of that group. He only joins them like later on, but they're like really strong. One of them has like a defensive sort of mech. They're called nightmares, but yeah, she's very quiet. She doesn't really say much. And then there's a guy, and then there's a few others. There's so many of these like elites, you know, that they pretty much guard. No, I'm just starting. They command like a certain force of the Britannian army, but there's like so many of them, it's hard to keep up with them. But they're really strong, and Lelouch manages to, you know, piece each and every one of them out, which is really cool. It's just fun the way he does it, and I think because he has his own like nightmare, it's like a prototype nightmare or something with like a really, really good shield. And then I said the girl that was really quiet, one of these like higher up, and she has a one that can counteract his nightmare. And there's like a back and forth, and he's always like scared when she comes into the action because she can really show him up. Suzaku has his own unique nightmare called the Lancelot, which is white and has wings, and there's a sort of like a greenish glow to the wings. You see it towards like the very beginning. It's like one of the first like unique nightmares you get to see, and it's always going up against Colin Kozuki, who she's always like the nemesis of Suzaku. He always finds it really hard to take her on. She's just appeared a second ago. That's just now the girl, but she was probably one of my favorite characters. Every time she was on screen, she had that nightmare, the red one, with the hand that can just crush things. I was like, yes, she's in it again. Suzaku, fear her, mate. She is amazing. But yeah, when she gets into it, she's an amazing pilot and a really standout character for the Japanese, aka the 11s. Suzaku, at times, you're rooting for this guy, and then he just keeps foiling Lelouch's plans, and you're like, oh, go away. Every time Suzaku appears, you're just like, oh, he's there again. He's there again. I hate him so much, and then you start to like him, and then you hate him again. It's sort of like the guy from Tokyo Ghoul, Ken Kaneki. You like him at times, and then you hate him at times, and you like him again. They're very similar characters. Yeah, it's just Suzaku is quite a pain in the ass for the majority of the show. Every time he's on screen, I always say to say his name Kurugi like that, because they say his name like that. It's like really quickly. But the Japanese and the 11s are the same people. Just it's a shame they don't give them that honor, because yeah, they fight their hearts out, and they're still devalued by the Britannian army, which is why you hate the Britannians so much in this show, because how they treat the 11s, and they're pretty much enslaved. It's an anime original, so you don't really have to base it off of the manga, so you can just go straight into it. But yeah, Akito the Exiled has its own brand new cast. The only returning characters, I think, Suzaku and I can't even remember. Lelouch is in it, but he goes by a different name. It's like I said just now. It's after season 1, and he's given like a new name temporarily or something. But yeah, everyone's probably clapping. I think they brought out in theaters or something in Japan, like they're doing with the new Rosa Recapture. But yeah, it's good to see him there, even though he only had like limited screen time. But yeah, in release order, I think it's season 1, season 2. Then I think it's either Akito the Exiled, and then I think it might be the recap films, Initiation, Transgression, Glorification, or they may be before Akito. I'm not sure. Doesn't really matter. But Akito is a spin-off, but it's still good because it still has Lelouch in it temporarily. And then last and not least, Resurrection. And then you're going to have the new Rosa the Recapture coming up, which don't even think Lelouch will be in it. Very slim chance he will. They say that Resurrection comes after the 3 recap films, but literally they're just retelling the series, so I don't know why. There are slight differences, like characters that are recurring that shouldn't be recurring in their recap film Glorification, but that's like the only slight difference. But yeah, man, Code Geass. This is the Rolo. He appears in season 2. You hate him to begin with, but he has such an overpowered Geass. What he's just used here, this is called a Geass, what he's doing right now with this glitchy screen. But yeah, I mean, his Geass was, I think he could freeze time. How sick is that? But at a cost. and I won't tell you what that is, but it's at a cost. But there's other ones, I think season 1, a guy with a Gias, I might as well. I think he can just hear voices, which is really annoying when you think about it, but it's, yeah, C2 also gave him his power. Then there's Charles V. Britannia's brother, who has a Gias, won't tell you what it is, probably because I forgot. But, yeah, man. This character is compared so much with the character in the number 1 position of this video, because you know what number 1 is. But these two characters are compared so often, because they're so similar. You know, you don't know whether you're going to root these or not. I think you root for Lelouch more than you root for the character in the number 1 position. But, wow. Watch Season 1, watch Season 2, and if you really, really feel like you should watch Resurrection, go ahead. You probably will, because you love the series so much. And there are also other side characters in this show. There's like an annoying side character guy. He's always like upbeat. He's in the very first episode with Lelouch in the casino. Then there's also the girl who's very freaking annoying. Can't remember her name. But yeah. She calls him Lulu a lot. But yeah. Please, please, please. I'm praying, please watch this anime. You will not regret it. How do you watch this show in order? Now, I've recapped it in my mind. I've now looked through a bunch of articles, and this is the way I would watch it. Now, first of all, you start off with Code Geass, the first season. That's how you always start it off, the first season. And there's also this special, I think it recaps the first season, it's called Black Rebellion. You don't need to watch it, just skip it entirely. I've skipped through it and there's literally like no extra scenes, so you can just forget about that. And then after watching the first season, you can watch Akito the Exiled, which basically takes place after the first season. Because after, the very, very end, if you watch the very end of season 1 and you get that cliffhanger, this sort of follows on. It's like a spin-off. And it doesn't really revolve around Lelouch, but it revolves around these separate characters. But Akito the Exile, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, which are all in like each individual like hour-long like special episode. And then after watching that, you go on and watch the second season. Or if you just want to watch Lelouch as a whole, first season, second season, leave it at that. But this is the way, if you want to watch everything, the way to go. So, after Akito the Exiled, season 2. And then there was also like one called Zero Requiem, which I remember now, which is just a recap of season 2. You can forget that as well. So, yeah, you can just really ignore that. You don't need to watch Zero Requiem. It's kind of just irrelevant. It's just one giant recap with nothing new. But after that, you got some birthday. It's Hangyaku no Lelouch Kizeki no Birthday. It's like another picture drama. It's irrelevant. You don't really need to watch it. It's just, I can really I can't really recommend it, so I'll just skip it. And then sort of the same thing, Nunley in Wonderland. It's just like a Alice in Wonderland spin-off. I don't know why they decided to make this, but it's kind of funny. You see all the characters come together, but yeah, it makes the show look cringy when you look at this picture drama, so I wouldn't recommend this either. And then this is where you get into the 3 recap films: Initiation, Transgression, Glorification. And they say you have to watch those 3 before you watch Resurrection, because they have like slight little scenes that are just like little things alterated from the series. Like a character would be brought back where they weren't originally in the series, when they were just removed from the series. They bring it back here. Just one character in particular, not it's a girl. That's all I'm gonna say. But Yeah, and then watch Resurrection at the end. Resurrection will be the last thing you watch, and then eventually when Rosa the Recapture comes out, which I did a video on my channel, which will show the dates when they'll be coming out, so just watch that video. And yeah, but like I said, the only way I'd recommend, that was the release order, the only way I'd recommend is Season 1, then the recap film Transgression, because it has that slight little extra scene that happens after Season 1, and then Season 2. That's pretty much it, really. That's the way I would watch it. But then Resurrection apparently follows on like an alternate universe or whatever, so it's up to you if you watch that as well, but it's, you don't need to. Yeah, I hope that cleared things up. And yeah, you can decide yourself, really. There are so many standout soundtracks in this that just really, really set the mood. And they come in at just the right time as well. But as much as I love Code Geass, I love it a bit. Unfortunately, on this occasion, it makes the number 2 spot. But trust me, when number 1 comes up, in just a few seconds, you'll understand why.
And final position in the number 1 spot is...
If you've made it all the way past this 1 hour long mark, thank you very much. We have made it to the number 1 spot. And I have praised this anime enough. When I was first recommended this anime it was by a guy who was like proper like rock. He loved rock. And he had long hair. He's a typical rock guy, man. He said to me, go watch Death Note. It's on Netflix. I was like, I know about Death Note. It's really dark. The picture quality looks very dark and grainy. It's not for me. I went to my mate's house, popped on his Netflix, turned on episode 1, and I was gripped from the beginning. As soon as Light picks up that Death Note, as soon as Ryuk appears, and he smiles and he's like, I'm going to create the new world, I was like, brother. But I already know this is gonna bomb. I know this anime is gonna intrigue me from beginning to end. And I was like 15 or something. So my brain hadn't fully matured. I was still into all that bloody crappy cartoon crap. But this anime made me think. After every episode, I was just recapping what I'd seen, trying to piece it all together. Oh, he couldn't have done that because he done that. But when he done that, that's when he done that. Oh, by the way, the reason that happened is because that guy fucked up. And the reason that happened, I was like, it was... Oh, man, this anime makes you think. There's so many rules of the Death Note. There's so much stuff you need to remember. It's not one of those action-packed anime. It's just one of those thought-provoking anime that you need to think. And who would have thought that the number 1 anime, my favourite anime of all time, is also animated by my favourite studio of all time, Studio Madhouse. But, they made loads of anime, Paranoid Agent, they made every Satoshi Kon one that he made, Paranoid Agent. Pretty sure they did Demon City, Wicked City. They did Hunter x Hunter. I haven't seen that show. Talking about the remake Hunter x Hunter, better version. One Punch Man season 1. So many more. Vampire the Bloodlust. There is so much. Oh, Free Ren, the new top one, the most highly anticipated, best rated anime of all time, Free Ren, which I really enjoyed. But Madhouse know where it's at, man. And I think one of the creators of Madhouse went on to work at Mappa, which, brother, Madhouse is, the place to be, man. You should never have left Madhouse. It's been around since the 70s, Madhouse. And it's always always there, man. When I need it, it will never change my mind. Madhouse just has so many bangers, man. Any anime you can think of, Madhouse has probably made it. But Death Note is by far the most famous anime on this list. It's had stage musicals. The manga is just so easily available. They made like an all-in-one edition, which was just the entire manga in a big bulky thing with really thin pages that weren't so good. The black editions, the box set version that I got like hoodies and stuff. I got t-shirts. I read the whole manga and I watched the whole anime. There are only slight differences. The anime has the same outcome, but it's slightly different how the outcome happens. It's the same. The way it happens is I'm not going to spoil it, but the way it happens is the same way, just slightly altered. But the anime as an anime original, the graveyard. You remember that scene? That was in the OVA. That's not in the manga. Mello and the president. That part was just the president appears in the anime, but he's sort of just like, yeah, we don't want to get involved, man. This Death Note thing sounds really dangerous. It can just kill someone by looking at them. Yeah, we're out, man. America just backed out, leave Japan to figure it out on their own. But in the manga, he actually meets up with the president, and yeah, shit goes down. But people hate on this anime due to the fact that they loved L. You know, the whole situation surrounding L, people turned off after what happened. They just said it turned to shit. It didn't, man. It didn't. I mean, I don't want to spoil it. That's the thing. But the people that follow on, from episode 25, the two kids, Nier, I thought was just, he pieced it together like that. He already figured it out the moment he spoke to Light, or Kira, as he's known. But, yeah, there's I don't think there's many people on this earth that have never heard of Death Note. You must have seen it, come across it, heard of it. Most people are introduced to it by Netflix. The people that aren't anime fans were introduced to Netflix one, and it's such a shame that people that enjoyed the Netflix, not many people, very few, probably enjoyed the shit out of it, but never even knew about the manga or the anime. And what it's really about, the whole Misa Mane being lovers with Light is bullshit. In the anime and the manga, he uses her. In the flipping film, he loves her. It's like, it doesn't work. Not to bring race into this, but people were hating the shit out of the fact that L was black in the film, and he was just an overall shit actor. Let me just say that he was crap, man. He was just really shit. He didn't play the role very well. He was awful. Ugh, God, it was just the only thing good about that was Willem Dafoe playing Ryuk, because his voice was just amazing. I'd even say as far as to say it's contender with the original Ryuk dub, but no one can beat the original Ryuk dub. And that's my notebook. He's really good. I sound more like that weird, bird sort of Shinigami that goes, my notebook, I want it. That's all he says. Like, he comes down begging for his notebook, just hangs around with Mello until shit goes down and he just snatches it up and flies away. They try and shoot the shit out of that bird creature as well when he first steps foot in that like warehouse thing, and then Mello's just like, okay, you want some chocolate? And he's like, I like chocolate. But yeah, when I talk about anime, man, I don't just piece it out. I just talk about everything as much as I can all at once, because I need to get this over my chest. I need to say as much as I possibly can. Is Death Note, man. It is so phenomenal. It's so well known. Like, you get stage musicals. I went to London and saw like an apple outside this like theatre, mate, or theatre. My nan called it theatre. Rest her soul. But yeah, a stage musical, flipping 1, 2, 3, nearly 5 live action films, yeah, there was like a one-shot manga. I think after the events of Death Note, there was like another guy that got hold of the Death Note, and let's say that didn't go down quite well. And then there was a more side stories. There was a light novel called, or a novel I think it was called L Save the World, and then there was one just dedicated to L, which was the BB murder cases. I haven't read either of these, by the way, but if you love L, you'll absolutely love the hell out of those novels. I've got all of them. There's only two of them, and the one shot manga thing that came out as well. But shame in the UK we only got like a standard Blu-ray and then the OVAs and then like a really crappy paper like cover, whereas America got like a Omega edition which had like a mini booklet and it had like the one shot, like a chapter from the one shot included. But if you just buy the one shot manga book separately, then you'll just have it there anyway. In like the box set, you see L's real name. I'd say probably skip ahead 10 seconds if you don't want to be spoilt, but they never mention his name in the anime. His real name is L. Laureate or something like that, because if you rip the manga there's like a little paper thing in the manga and the booklet thing you get. If you rip it, it tells you his name. I didn't rip it open because it's part of a collector's piece. But yeah, apparently that's his name. Spoiler for his name over, but then again, the anime never mentions it, so what are you going to do? You have to read the manga for that, and then yeah. But, I know, Death Note was just brilliant, man. I love it. I love it so much, damn it. It's just, I've never had an anime that has just engaged me this much. That, it's just made me think after watching it. Code Geass, like, I was thinking about it for an hour. Death Note, I was thinking about it for fucking weeks, mate. Just trying to piece it all together, and it's just, I found myself going like full night stands without sleeping, having to watch this anime in my old nan's house in a little room I used to have with the strict walls because the room was never done up. I just emptied the room, in my really old videos on my channel where I sat in that room with that little tiny TV. But yeah, memories, man, definitely got me through some shit, man. Most of the anime on this list, the top 5 anime on this video, got me through some shit. And there are so many there are so many like one-liners in this. I'd take a potato chip and eat it, something like that. And L's obsession with sweets. They said, if light didn't kill him, the diabetes would get to him first. It's jokes like that. The fact that he didn't like mobile phones but would still answer it some every now and then. Ryuk loving apples. Misa just being obsessed with light, and anyone that gets in his way, anyone that even is remotely nice to him, I'll kill them. His father, working under his father, and yet working against him at the same time. Like I said, everyone's compared him to the number 2 spot on this list, Lelouch v Britannia. Light and Lelouch are one of a kind. They're, one of the same person. They are just the similarities between the two. They want to create a new world. They want to, rule over everyone. They want to be in charge. They want people to look at them. They want people to not really know who they are, but just remember the legacy they left behind. And it's just this manga, this anime, this phenomenon that has gripped the nation, the world. This anime, to me, even after episode 25, I was still gripped, Even after episode 25, and then the delete guy comes along and, starts butchering L's plans. But plot-wise, the whole plot of Death Note is like Yagami, a really bright high school student, brighter than everyone else. He knows it, and finds he's just staring out the window, and a notebook falls from the sky, captures his interest. By the time class is finished, he goes out and it's still there. Reads the death note, reads the rules, thinks it's stupid, and then thinks to himself, maybe it isn't so stupid after all. Takes it home. Shit gets real. Even the Shinigami Ryuk, who's introduced straight in episode 1 towards the end, says, no one who's ever picked up this death note, like right this scene right now, has ever written this amount, this most amount of names that you have in such a short span. And Light's like, he said, I want to change this world, There's no one like me. He said, I will become the god of this new world. And then episode 1 ends. Ah, the intro is brilliant, so memorable. The other intro after episode 25, that whole rock ballad, or is it after 25? I can't remember, but it's partway through the series. There's just another reason that the watch order is like just so simplistic. It's, was it 37 episodes, and then done. And then if you want to watch it again in like years to come, or just maybe a month later, you watch the 2 OVAs, which are just recaps, and then the scenes introduced, like I said, the graveyard scene, the weird scene where was El Mr. Bun, if you've understood what I just said there, don't want to be too inappropriate, but he was a Mr. Bun in the little cinema. I think it's like a cinema, but he's getting up to the naughty, and people were still trying to figure out if he was doing it or not, but dirty, man, dirty guy. But yeah, and then there's, just like the Code Geass, like the recap films do have like little slight extra scenes. So does the OVAs. They're called I can't remember, Relight and something or other. But they're just 2 OVAs. They're basically just entire recaps of the series, but like I said, only little bits of extra material added. But yeah, I've read both the manga and watched the anime, and there really aren't much differences, but I recommend you still read the manga and watch the anime. So there's still more I want to say about Death Note, man. The characters, Misa Amane, also a possessor of Death Note. She comes straight over to Light, announces that she has the Death Note, and it's like no one in their right mind would do that. No one in this anime ever comes forward with the Death Note and actually announces himself. But Misa isn't like everyone else. She's special. At the end of the anime, I don't know if she dies or not. This was never ever told. This isn't a spoiler. We will never know. The manga doesn't tell you. The anime sort of hints it, but doesn't actually tell you. At the end of the manga, there's a girl that looks just like Misa, but it's not her. The guy, Takeshi Obata or something. Written by Sugumi Oba, illustrated by Takeshi Obata. It sounds very similar. And I think, the guy who wrote it, Sugumi Oba, no one knows his face. No one knows who he looks like, The original manga, there's only one, came out in December of 2003. And then ended in 2006. And then straight away, 2006, Death Note came along. As soon as, the manga ended, Death Note came along with the anime and was like, yeah, everything's adapted, let's go straight into this. And Madhouse, they blew it out the ballpark, mate. They knew what they was doing. By the way, I've just figured out the recaps as Visions of a God, and then, Visions of a God is one of them. And L Successors, that's the other one. But then, so much, man. There's live action from 2006. There's another one from 2006. L Changed the World, 2008. Death Note, 2015 TV drama. I think that's the Netflix one. Oh no, that's a TV series. Didn't even know they made a live action TV series. There's a musical. Yeah, I knew that. New Generation, a mini series. Don't give a crap. Then there's Light Up the New World. These are like other shit that's you don't need to watch. Death Note 2017 film. That's a shitty Netflix version that no one likes. Only people that have never watched or, read the manga will probably like it. Video games, 2007 to 2008, man. Hey, wow, Death Note knows what it's doing, man. It knows the target audience. It knows it will have an impact. It is on my anime list. I'm pretty sure it used to be the most popular anime on my anime list. Like the most popular, not the number one, but the most popular. And then I'm pretty sure that Attack on Titan went ahead and took that spot. So yeah, Attack on Titan is now most popular on my anime list, but Death Note has more of a fan base, And yeah, I pretty much summed up Death Note as a whole. There's so many rules. There's so many characters. L, I rooted for L, okay? I wanted him to succeed. Some people didn't want him to. They hated him and they wanted L to succeed. Me, I was Light all the way, brother. I was Light from beginning to end. It was just, he had me gripped, man. I didn't want L to win. I wanted Light to win. Because he's killing criminals, man. He's doing the world a justice. And they say, oh, you're the biggest mass murderer in history. Yeah, he's probably killed more people than any other anime character. Man, this guy has a notebook that can just kill people just by writing their name. He can decide how they died by, writing their name. If he just writes the name, they die of a heart attack. If he wants them to die in a specific way, he'll write it that way. In the anime, I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4 people that use the Death Note. Not including the Shinigamis. But at the end of the day, it was all part of Light Yagami's master plan. All those people that use the Death Notes, they could never use it as well as he could. It was like he was destined to use the Death Note. No one even came close to him. Even all the other people that used it was because he told them to use it. And one of them that used it, he didn't even tell him to use it. He made sure it fell in his hands so that L would believe more and more that Light was innocent. But, L's way above that. He's too clever. He's way too clever. But that's what makes it so much, intriguing for the audience. And that, like I said, the whole cat and mouse game of Lelouch and Britannia, and then Light and L, and then the kids, it's just, wow, there's no other anime like it, man. There's no other anime like it, and I want people in the comment section right now, just ask anyone, even a member of their family, have you heard of Death Note? If they say no, then wow, God, they've just, crawled out of their rock. But I'm pretty sure no one in this earth has never heard of this, has heard of Death Note. I mean, they must have seen it on Netflix, they must have seen musicals in London, they must have seen something. Because you just can't get away from it. But I heard it's not that easy when you're walking across Japan to just stumble across Death Note. It's not easy, and it's weird. There's a guy called Bennett the Sage said he went around Japan to find his wife a little memento, like a little piece of Death Note to bring home. He said it was nearly impossible because he couldn't find any. It's just surrounded by Dragon Ball, Naruto, and One Piece and all that crap that I don't give two shits about, that go on forever. With the slight exception of My Hero Academia, I've been binge watching that. I've given it a break for the last 3 days because my friends come down, but I was just binge watching My Hero Academia because, I don't know. then it's split into seasons, bite size, seasons, and the characters are engaging. I don't know. My Academia and Yu-Gi-Oh were the only two long-running animes that I could actually get through, and even I didn't even finish Yu-Gi-Oh because that old Pharaoh arc. But yeah, I hope, ladies and gentlemen, that any of these top 5 have piqued your interest, or you've even seen any of these top 5. So we've come to the end of this hour-long video, and yeah, thank you very much for making it this far. And if you have made it this far and you're listening to my exact words now, either just type K for Kira or L for El Laureate in the comment, just so I know you've got this far. But yep, that's it. These are my top 5 anime. Maybe for a long time it will never change. I know my top 2 will never change. But yeah, they've been a part of my life. I've watched them. I've never watched anime for a young age. Like I said, Pokemon was the first anime I watched when I was maybe 10 or 11. But I didn't really start getting into anime until I was at least 18 or 19. So just in my adult years when I actually started getting into anime. If anyone tells you anime's for kids, trust me, they don't know shit. But yeah, that's it. We've made it all this way. Big thank you. And yeah, enough said, really. Tell me your top 5 in the comment section below. And without any further ado, this is the Flying Lucha. Sure, bye-bye.